I'm like, oh, that's weird that this guy has YouTube videos out there. Little did I know, it's like, me in my bed, like at night, later that night, I'm like watching him deadlifting with Mark Bell, has like millions of views. I'm like, fuck, I'm such an idiot. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Road to the Meet. This is episode 10. Can't believe we've been doing this for 10 episodes already. But I know Ani just confirmed that he has a meet and he has a date for his first meet. So I'm officially 50 days out. Ani, how many days out are you?
I am officially 64 days out because my meet is on December 4th.
So this is super exciting. Obviously, we couldn't get it lined up exactly together, but I feel like it's still in a good range. So we'll be able to both still compete against each other head to head. So I'm pretty excited for that. I feel like we have a decent bit to talk about in this episode. I've hit a lot of big weights this week, so I have a lot to talk about specifically with my training, and I have a pretty funny story involving one of the greatest powerlifters of all time. So stay tuned.
Those are going to be some spicy deets. Stick around for those. But before we get into that, I have a couple of updates. So first of all, like I said, or like Dom said rather, I do have a meet locked in. It is on December 4th, and it's a USAPL meet. So I am officially now a part of the USAPL. Before it was like, I'm going to be there anyway, but now it's official. I have a membership card and everything. Second, I finally got the splint off. Yay! As you can see, we just got a Band-Aid over it. I don't know if I want to put up a picture of the healing process. Maybe I will. It's not as gruesome as the injury, but with the Band-Aid on, you can still see that I pretty much have almost all of my range of motion back. It's not like 100%. Now the doctors and my coach, because I also, update number 3, have a coach now. So there you go. I'm just throwing that in there. But the doctors, as well as my coach, kind of advised that I still don't get back to like doing pulls, for instance, just yet, because they're worried like if I put too much action or stress on this joint or injury point too soon, it could kind of, still kind of tear open, and obviously they can't restitch this area again. So that just means that it's going to take a more healing process, as well as the fact that the scarring is going to be a lot more than it already is, which means I probably get even stiffer and lose even more range of motion. I do feel a little bit of a difference, like from these two, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's that significant. So we got super, super lucky with this injury that it wasn't absolutely catastrophic, but I thought I'd just throw those updates in there. And now we could talk about Dom.
I mean, there were some ups and there were some downs. I started off on kind of a low note because I went to hit 415 pounds on deadlifts, which was supposed to be a triple at RPE 8. And I just ended it after 2 reps because it felt so bad and I didn't want to go to failure. And maybe I think it might be more of a mental thing where I don't really know what true failure is on deadlifts yet. And so I think the set's actually harder than it actually is. So next week, I'm like promising to myself that I'm just going to push it and make sure I get 3 reps. Obviously, I want to hit the RPE, which is supposed to be 9 for next week. So I'm going to try to judge it correctly, but I'm also going to try not to be a little wimp and back out. So deadlifts, kind of not great this week, but on the upside, I was able to hit 225 pounds for 2 on bench, which is definitely like a PR for me with a pause. Obviously, I've repped out 225 in the past when I was at my like strongest back before I had my current shoulder injury and stuff like that. But I never really did pause work back in the day. So I'm going to keep counting these as PRs, and it just feels good to be back hitting 2 plates again. So I'm really happy about that. And then sticking on bench, later in the week, I did a paused single, like a tempo single, similar to last week I talked about. I did 215 last week. I bumped it to 225 and did like the 4 counts down, 2 count, pause, and then a press. And that felt pretty good. Shoulder's a little bit achy, but not too bad. Still working through physical therapy. I went today. I told Ani about that. And after physical therapy today, I feel a lot better. Like I'm definitely going to keep incorporating the exercises and stretches that they give me. So I'm feeling pretty good about my shoulder health right now. And then finally for squats, I did 445 pounds for a triple, and
400.
Sorry, my bad. Thanks for keeping me honest.
Bro, I was about to say.
You were sweating over there. You're like, oh no, he's getting strong.
I was like, holy shit. My man just added 100 pounds to his squat overnight. Oh my God.
So yeah, I hit 345 pounds for a triple. And if you guys have been following along, my deload before this current block, I hit 345 pounds for a single, and that was a 1 rep max like PR for me. Obviously, it wasn't a 1 rep max, but it's the most weight I've ever done for a single. Obviously, because I'm new to squatting, so I mean, I can hit a PR on my deload, which is pretty insane. But so now I rep that for 3. So I don't really know what like a true 1 rep max is right now, but obviously more than 345 pounds. I maybe guesstimated at like 375, 385 even maybe. But I'm still trying to feel out these heavy weights, and squats out of the 3 movements right now are feeling the best. And usually it's not like that for me. Usually deadlifts feel the best. So it's kind of a weird scenario to be in, but I'm happy that at least I'm feeling good about something. And I feel like I'm getting stronger all around. So I'm happy.
Nice, man. How does it feel to be hitting 2 plates on bench again after all the shoulder crap you've had to deal with the past couple of weeks?
It feels like I've just been like climbing to get back to this, and I'm just so happy that when I unracked 225 again, it didn't feel like terrible. I felt like it felt light in my hands, which I wasn't expecting, and it was kind of a mental block for me to get like hitting that again. So it just feels good. I'm gonna keep ramping it up even more. Next week I'll probably go for 230, 235 for a double, and I don't know. I just want to smash through all my old PRs at some point. I mean, I've hit. I think I showed in a TikTok recently, but I hit 235 pounds for 5 back in the day, touch and go. So if I could get to a point where I can hit that like for 5 paused, like that would feel like I've truly gained a lot of strength. I'm not there yet, but I do want to get back to that.
I mean, based on how that 225 looked, like maybe that would be like a 5 rep max all out grinder. Like you'd have to be on a gram of caffeine, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think on a good day right now, I could hit 225 for 4 paused.
That's pretty good,
but
bro.
obviously pausing makes repping weights harder. So whereas when I back in my early days, I used to just like bounce it off my chest and just pump them out. So it's gonna take a bit for me to match those kind of numbers.
Bro, I mean, even 225 paused, like I would consider that pretty significant for doubles too. After like not really touching above 200 that much leading up to this, right? Am I right about that?
Mm-hmm. No, I was doing like 205 and 215 a bit, but like the most I did before that was 215 for 2. So I knew like I thought I had 225 in me, but it was one of those where I like put 225 on the bar and I'm like, I might only be able to get one of this, but I know I'm supposed to get a double. So I should be able to get a double, but you never know until you do it.
For sure. Sometimes you just got to send it.
The only like thing I took out of all the benching this week was that I think I'm going to switch up how I get set up for bench press. I'm going to start putting my feet on the bench to drive my traps into the bench. I've been talking with my coach, and I tried it out for like one of my back off sets because he told me to try it. And it just felt like I was able to get a lot better of an arch and just a lot better setup where I could keep my body in place and not move around as I unrack the weight. Because I noticed I was like moving my shoulders down the bench after I unracked the weight, and I was like doing all this movement that shouldn't be happening. I should be staying tight and keeping my lower body very tight. That's like something I took away from this week that I got to work on. Other than that, though, I'm feeling good with how like all my form and setup and everything.
Yeah, you see a lot of top level guys. They try to set up that way for that exact same reason. So and also maybe to get the arch better, do you notice that your arch is a lot more like not susceptible to collapsing or just more stable in general when you're using the feet to drive into the bench?
Yeah,
or do you not
I noticed,
really notice it?
Like I noticed that I can get more of an arch, and I noticed that like my lower body feels a lot tighter. As I slowly put my feet back onto the ground, I just feel a lot more tight across like my hip area. And I noticed my butt was coming off the bench when I was benching a little bit this week. So that's something I don't want to have happen. So I got to work on that as well. Yeah. And then I guess I got to tell the story about my man.
Tell the story.
So when I was going for 415 for what was supposed to be a triple, I was warming up, and then I got to go to do my top set, and this guy comes up to me, and he's like an older guy, and I'm like, I don't recognize him. I just started working out at Quad's gym this was the second time I've been in there, and I guess Quad's gym in Chicago is like a pretty famous bodybuilding slash powerlifting gym. I know John Meadows did a YouTube video about it when he was like going across the country checking out gyms and stuff. And so I knew there's probably gonna be some like, well-known bodybuilders and powerlifters there. But so this guy comes up to me and he gets like 2 inches from my face and he's like, "Where'd you learn how to sumo deadlift?" And I'm like, just like YouTube videos and stuff. Cause I didn't really know what to say. And I'm like, is my form bad or something? And he's like, "It's terrible." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing." And so he was telling me my foot stance is way too narrow. I was basically doing a stiff leg deadlift where my hips were too high, I guess. And I wasn't using my legs enough. So I was like feeling like shit. He sits back down. He's coaching someone squatting. And then he coaches me through like the next couple sets, and I'm like, he's like, he comes up after, he's like, "What YouTube videos are you watching?" And I'm like, I was like, "Oh, I don't know, just like stuff I've seen on the internet." He's like, you should watch my YouTube videos." And I'm like, "Oh, you make YouTube videos?" And he points up at the wall, and I'm like, he points at this poster, and it's Ed Coan, like powerlifting legend, and it's like a guy, it's him holding like 1,000 pounds, it's something crazy. And he just looks like a beast. And I didn't realize it was him. And I honestly didn't know who Ed Coan was at the time. I'm pretty new to like following the sport of powerlifting. And I guess I'm an idiot. I didn't know it's like the greatest powerlifter of all time. And so I was just getting coached by the greatest powerlifter of all time, who's saying my sumo was terrible. So I don't know. I was coming out of that feeling like trash, but it was also just such a awesome experience, like getting coached by one of the greatest. And I mean, he did have some great tips in terms of, he wanted me to open up my hips and sink my hip, like butt a little bit lower. And so I was doing that for all my drop sets, and he was coaching me through them. It honestly felt pretty good. So I'm probably going to take some of his cues, but it was just insane situation.
That's just hilarious. Like, you're just going up there and he's like, "What YouTube videos?" And you're like, "Oh, just some stuff I've seen." And then he's like, "You should watch mine." And you're like, "Oh, I'm like,
I was like, yeah. I was like, "Oh, you make videos?" Because he's like an older guy now. So I just didn't expect this guy. I thought he was just like a general coach. I didn't know he was like a big deal, obviously. I'm like, "Oh, that's weird that this guy has YouTube videos out there." Little did I know, it's like, me in my bed, like, at night, later that night, I'm like watching him deadlifting with Mark Bell, has like millions of views. I'm like, fuck, I'm such an idiot. But I mean, honestly, it was a great experience, and I hope I run into more, legends like that. I mean, at least he helped you out, man. To get some more opinions. Yeah, he didn't just come up to me and be like, "Your sumo's trash," and leave. So he coached me for free. I'm sure that cost like hundreds of dollars.
I was just thinking, like, that's like if you're working out at some like random, like, I don't know, facility with like a turf and a football and stuff. You're throwing the football around, and then some guy comes up to you and says, "Yeah, man, your throwing mechanics are all just absolute trash. Like, where did you learn how to throw?" And you're like, "Oh, just some YouTube videos." And he's like, "You should have watched me play back in the day." And then you look at him and he's like, "Oh, you used to play back in the day? Who are you?" And then it's Peyton fucking Manning just sitting there telling this guy how to.
That's exactly what happened. It's crazy.
Oh man, that's the story you tell your kids. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I'm pissed at it. I should have got a picture with him or something. Enough about me, I guess, and my experiences. How's your week been training, since I know you're limited with your finger?
So basically my training week has been pretty not very exciting, I guess. I mean, unless you really love the safety squat bar. Basically I've been like the first half of the week I was still on my sort of I guess you could call it a squat hinge routine or lower body all the time, in which I was, doing a lot with the safety squat bar while I still had the splint in my hand or in my finger. I think I did. I keep saying I think, like I don't know, because I don't. But I believe I put 275. Actually, technically, that'd be 295 pounds. So I put 295 pounds on the bar. I think I hit that for a couple of triples, maybe a double. I can't. It's so bad. Those were moving really bad though, and I think I still hate the safety squat bar. I made a post on Instagram basically saying that despite me doing safety squat bar for about 2 weeks exclusively, it doesn't make me like it anymore. I still hate it. One movement that I did do on my hinge day was some good mornings with the safety squat bar. Now those felt better. I still think my good morning technique isn't like really great. I also think I didn't do too much weight. I believe I did like 155 pounds for like a set of 8, and which I actually don't have any frame of reference as to whether or not that's a good lift for a good morning. But I felt it in my hamstrings, but at the same time it didn't feel like that stimulative. Like, so maybe I was kind of lowballing it. I do RDLs with 2.5 plates, so maybe I should have really upped the weight on the good mornings, even though I just didn't want to put a lot of stress there, and I don't know what I'm doing with good mornings. But on the plus side, I also did some GHRs, and despite being relatively still pretty heavy, I was able to do GHRs with 10 kilos for 10 reps. So it's body weight plus 10 kilos, which is about 22 pounds. So I'm glad that I kept my GHR strength. My hamstrings and glutes are still pretty strong. So that was really, really cool. And then, so the day after that, I went in and, I benched. And so I'm still not 100% used to doing the whole kilo plates thing. So like things throw me off when I see numbers and I have to do mental math in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that means this. This is why I'm really happy that most of the kilo plates are actually colored so you can tell. But I just forgot because I'm stupid. So basically I started to bench because I wanted to test how it would feel with the splint on. And if it was going to be like a really, really like a pain in the ass, or if it was going to be something that I could manage, and then I would just move forward with that. But so I had 2 reds. So the reds are 25 kilos, which is 55 pounds. So 2 reds on each side, and I'm warming up. That's 265 pounds, I believe. And then and then I was like, okay, all I wanted to do was do a single at 6 for that day, because a single at 6 is heavy enough to where I could tell like whether or not this is going to be a problem, but it's light enough to where I don't think I'm going to get hurt if it's such a problem that I drop the bar or whatever. It's not going to like fatigue me super much, so I could still do like leg workouts later that day.
Yeah.
So a single at 6 would be 285 pounds, which means that I need 10 more pounds on each side, right? Mm-hmm. So I walk over. I'm like, okay, I just need 10 more pounds. Just need 10 more pounds. I grab the 10. I put it on the bar. All right. I unrack the bar with a spotter. I bring it down. I press it, and it moves like molasses. This shit is so incredibly slow. Like I was like an RP like 8 or 9. Like it was like 8.5, 9 basically was what the RP was. And I was like, oh my God, did I just lose all of my bench strength? Did I just lose so much just taking a few days off? And it wasn't until later in the workout when somebody else was doing a PR, right? And they pretty much did the exact same thing that I did, except they did with like an extra little black plate. And I was like, man, that's a great lift. How much was that? He's like, oh, it's 319 pounds. I'm like, wait, 319? And I was like trying to do the math in my head. I was like, so wait, what is this minus the black plate and the collar? He's like, oh, it's 309. So I just threw 309 on the bar, thinking it was 285, and was super, super sad that it moved like absolute trash when I just sort of YOLO'd 300 on there. I was like, So yeah, no wonder. So I I accidentally benched 309 pounds, and you know,
that's kind of sick, though.
That it was. I know. It's like, now that I know it was 309 pounds, it actually moved pretty good for 309 pounds, you know? So I'm actually not going to complain at all. That was on kilos, too. That was all before I got the splint off. And then I got the splint off, and yesterday I went into the gym for the first time after the splint off because I wanted to let the finger just a little bit of time to heal. Just get some of that, you know, initial grossness off and the initial risk of going fresh into the gym after, you know, taking off your protection. Despite having the finger out of the splint, I still this week am not doing any barbell back squats or, you know, deadlifts like I mentioned earlier. Those are per coach recommendations. I don't really know why he doesn't want me to use the barbell back squat yet. Maybe he's waiting for everything to be really 100% clear. That was also what the doctor said as well, before he puts anything that I'm going to have to grasp for real, even though I am going to be doing rows and stuff, so I don't know what's going on. But so that means I'm stuck with the safety bar once again, which is like, meh. But had 4x8s at an RPE 6 last night. I put on 245 pounds for my RPE 6, and it was a little too heavy. I was working on some new techniques per the coach's recommendations, so that could have been why it threw me off RPE-wise. But I had to drop to 225 pounds, and actually at 225 pounds, moved really, really smooth. So, hey, maybe I am coming around, but I still hate the safety squat bar, so it's not going to convert me. And then I also recorded myself doing an exercise that I had never really done before at all, and that was the belt squat. So I recorded myself doing belt squats because I didn't know how they're supposed to look. I hope they look okay. I also don't know how they're supposed to be loaded because I don't know how much the sled weighs or the slide. And there's also, you have a safety squat, or not a safety squat, you have a belt squat at your gym, at one of your gyms, right?
Yeah, both actually.
Does it have a band resistance on the inside?
Band?
Do you know?
No, I don't think so. I would have to double check, but I don't think so. At my gym, they have. I don't know if somebody rigged it like this, and I just didn't take it off, or if it was supposed to be like that. But somebody has a band attached on the inside, so it creates the resistance curve of a band. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So it was really, really, it was weird. I could definitely feel the deload at the bottom and then the stretch at the top. So I only had 2 plates on there, and I don't know if the band resistance is supposed to be calculated with it, or if it's, again, if it just comes like that. I can't imagine that it actually comes banded because it was a rogue band. So I don't know. But
yeah. I mean, they probably added it on there, but I mean, I don't think that's necessarily bad or good. Like, you could just keep doing it like that. I don't think it's a problem.
I mean, I will. I just have no idea how much I was doing. If that, so I don't. It was like a pink band or a purple maybe. I don't know. I have to look up the resistance. But anyway, it's only 185 pounds of like actual weight on the bar. So 180 pounds. Sorry, nothing crazy. I know that you do 3 plates, which is 225. So yeah, I guess I kind of got to start loading the stuff. But I'm on a new program.
Nice.
Like, so, you know, I have my whole week ahead of me. I'm everything that I'm going to do this week is new. It's going to be a lot of volume, bro. I'm talking like every single session has like 20 sets that you have to do.
Damn.
Which is, it's a lot. And most of them is just like one movement pattern. So like I was telling Dom yesterday, I have 5 movements that I was supposed to do. And 4 of them were basically quad dominant movements. So you're gonna keep doing that for the next couple of weeks then, or? I have no idea. Your coach gives you your program week by week, right?
Yeah.
So my coach does the same thing. So I only get 1 week at a time. So I'm not really too sure how this is going to progress moving forward. If he's going to like change the exercise around once my finger gets back, or, you know, obviously as we get closer to the meet, what he's going to pull, what he's going to reduce, or if I'm basically just doing a bodybuilding program that squatting and benching and deadlifting to. It's a lot of volume. It feels like a bodybuilding program.
No, I mean, I think it's probably just because he's trying to build up a good base for you. I'm sure, you know, like over the next, like after like a month from now, I'm sure he'll start to convert it to more of a peaking sort of powerlifting specific programming. Obviously, I mean, I think he's probably just, since right now you're also injured, so he's probably like, okay, I'm just gonna like do a ton of volume in things that he can do, and then we'll slowly start to taper it off in future blocks or whatever.
Hopefully they're gonna be jacked as hell. So I can catch up to your freaking squat, which is absolutely flying. I forgot to mention that 345 looks so freaking good. I can't believe that you haven't touched anything above that. And to be honest, bro, like, you're still about 7 weeks out, right? About 7 weeks out. I do not think that 400 is out of the possibility. Maybe even 425 pounds. I think I could probably get like 405 in the gym before, if I peaked just for like a gym PR. Obviously, you never know with a meet setting where you have to hit all three, but I think with like peaking still to happen and everything, I'm not at the end of this block yet, and I haven't even fully peaked for the meet, obviously. So there's definitely a lot of room, and the fact that my estimated max right now is probably like in like the 380 range, like, is a very good sign. The thing for me is I'm gonna have to start hitting this weight quick. The thing for me is I've only hit 345, like I said earlier. So I'm really gonna have to start touching this heavy weight to just get my body like primed for it. Cause like it's hard to really start PRing at like weights that you haven't touched without getting pretty close to them. Like, I'm not going to be able to hit 385 pounds if I've only touched 345, even if my estimated 1 rep max gets to that. You know what I'm saying? It's just your body's not ready for it. So I'm hoping with all the peaking and stuff, as I get close to the meet, I'll be ready. That's kind of where my head's at. All right, so Dom's camera died, unfortunately, so I think that's a good place to wrap this guy up. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode of Road to the Meet. Quick reminder before we jet out of here, Dom is 50 days out from his meet, and I am 64 days out from my meet. Hopefully next week I'll get this finger back and we can really dive into some powerlifting specific training. I am going to bench, so there'll be some more bench footage for sure. If you want to stay up to date with our training, you can follow us on our social media pages. You can follow Dom on his TikTok. He posts very spicy short clips of him lifting at Natty Lifting. That is at Natty Lifting on TikTok, as well as Dom DG on YouTube. His channel will be linked in the description. Every time the man smashes a PR, he posts it. He's a machine. He's smashing PRs left and right, and they're all looking great. So go ahead and sub to him over there. As far as I go, I'm going to start Instagramming again now that I have my finger back and there's something cool happening in my training life other than just SSB every single day. You can follow me on Instagram to see that at sxbertooth_ or sxbertooth with an X_ on Instagram, and obviously subscribe to this channel right here to keep up to date with these episodes and any videos that may be coming out from me in the future. One more time before we leave, Dom 50 days out, me 64 days out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace, guys.